She's got a nice voice. 16 years old.
Wow. So, Dana, just count down from 10 and go anytime you want.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Dana,
Thanks,
do you
Sam.
want to be live from the start on YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to put you on. You just go when you're ready.
Okay, thanks, Adam.
Hey, so I'm going to follow the request for blackout?
No, we got it.
Oh,
Yeah, we
okay.
got that. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
No problem.
Sorry.
Lalali. It's got to be Lalali. We have heat belching out from here. Can we get this heat turned off? Because it's killing us right now. See, there's a lot of heat coming out of here.
Wrong month.
Well, I mean, if we're normal. You can't do it? Okay.
All right. Let's get ready. I'm ready to count down, Dan.
Yep.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And welcome back to Varsity Stadium here in downtown Toronto, Ontario, Canada, as we get set for the Tier 2 Championship featuring the Lakeshore Phoenix and the Malvern Black Knights. Dana McKee alongside the legendary coach Dan Domenico as we bring you all the action here from Varsity Stadium, home of the University of Toronto Varsity Blues. And this broadcast brought to you by the Toronto Argonauts, CIUT Radio 89.5 FM, Marchant School Sports, Football Toronto, the Royal Canadian Legion Branch 10, and the Canadian Armed Forces, as we have the military people coming off the field right now in a great presentation of this Tier 2 championship. And Dan, what can we expect between these two squads today?
Well, you're looking at a Tier 2 teams, and they have great athletes. My voice is still a little bit cracking because, I just spent the last 2 hours screaming at my team, so it's going to take me a few minutes to get it up to speed. But, the difference between Tier 1 and Tier 2 is that we have maybe a little more size and we have maybe some faster kids, but you still have a lot of skilled kids on both these teams, and right now they don't know whether they're playing for the Grey Cup or they're playing for the Tier 2 championship. They're going to be giving it their all, and one thing I expect to see is a lot of enthusiasm on both sides of the football.
Yeah, no question about it. This is a big day for the Tier 2 championship as well with these teams. And a little hard to identify. One team's got gold numbers, one team's got white numbers. So we're looking to identify the teams that way between the Malvern Black Knights and the Lakeshore Phoenix. Looking at their records, Malvern comes in with a 4-0 record with an offensive unit that's been putting up 27.5 points per game average offensively while allowing only 10 defensively. Lakeshore at 2-2 record. Offensively, 17 points per game. Defensively, 13. Your thoughts on that record and points?
Well, you know what? You might as well have been talking about the game that we just played, right? We were undefeated in the regular season. We had scored lots of points. Our defense had played very well all year. And they had a slower start on the other side of the ball with Richview. But when you play in a championship game, all of that goes out the window because it's emotion and, the will to win that really counts in these type of games.
And you're looking at the field right now as the teams are continuing to warm up here a little bit. And the sun was a factor in the Tier 1 championship between Richview and Northern. In this game, as we see the sun resting to the west, that it won't be so much of a factor. So it won't be as much of a factor with our camera people as well, who've put in an outstanding performance as they wait for their baseball cap so we can get through this third game of the day. It's been an exciting day here at Varsity Stadium.
Absolutely, but hey, let's thank God for the sun, right? Because it's the middle of November, and I'm in my short sleeve T-shirt out there. I mean, that doesn't happen very often, other than it's pretty good for me golfing. So.
I was just going to say, Dan, we've got you off the golf course, and I know this is a rare moment, so we're going to relish it for all we can. And looking at the Black Knights from Malvern, head coach Carter Livingstone, who at one time was a University of Toronto varsity blue football player, and now the head coach. He was known more for lacrosse as a former lacrosse career, including playing with the Toronto Rock, Rochester Nighthawks, the Chicago Shamrocks, and the Boston Blazers. You know that he brings in a lot of experience to the Malvern Black Knights lineup.
Well, he was a tremendous athlete when he was a player himself. And I ran the league when he first came in as a teacher, and he's been one of those coaches that has hung in there, has built teams, and he's fully deserving of being in this championship game right now.
And you're looking at the Lakeshore Phoenix, Dave Pazinski, the head coach, and this is his second time around being here at Varsity Stadium. Back in 2019, the Lakeshore Phoenix played the Western Tech Colts in the Tier 3 championship. No doubt coming up to play at Tier 2, it's been a good ride for him this season.
But, he's doing exactly what we want to happen with programs. Started in Tier 3, which means basically, they're a bunch of brand newcomers that never played a lot of football. Their numbers may not be as great as you'd have on some of the other senior teams, but he's risen the ranks. He's won the Tier 3. He's going to Tier 2 now. And you got to give him a lot of credit because that's how you build a program, and that's how you build a league as well.
Looking at the officials for this matchup, and we've got good ones too. And Marco Pulowski, the referee, Dan Ritchie, Bob Pulowski, and Greg Aletto. And great to see Greg Aletto in the lineup of officials for this matchup. As we only go with the best here on CIUT Radio 89.5 FM. YouTube streaming as well. We're going all around the world.
Well, you should say not only do you have good officials, but you have a lot of experience. Some of these guys have been around since I started, and I started coaching in 1982, so that's a long time.
That's a lot of history.
Well,
wow.
We almost go back that far, Dana.
And certainly looking as we watch the Royal Canadian Legion Color Guard coming off the field, and they've done a tremendous job. They'll be in action tomorrow at the East York Cenotaph as well for Remembrance Day, led by the Regimental Sergeant Major, Woon Chung, and the entire Royal Canadian Legion Color Party. So great to see those individuals.
And I know it bears repeating, get out there and buy your poppies, right? Because, boy, if anybody, deserves to be recognized or to be remembered, it's our armed forces.
Yeah, no question about it. And they've been a huge part as supporters here of this championship day. And it just so happens that Sergeant Karamiski is one of your former players playing with the Northern Red Knights.
That's correct. I've had several players that have gone through and gone into the armed forces.
So the teams have lined up here on the field as we see them out on the field now. A little difficult to identify as both teams are in dark colored jerseys. But we got you covered with the Lakeshore Phoenix in blue jerseys, dark blue with white lettering.
Well, this is pretty much a referee's nightmare, but that's okay. We'll go with it.
And we're just waiting for the officials as we've got the scoreboard. We're dealing with a technical issue with the scoreboard, but we'll time it from the bench, and our committee will be handling that situation right now. So.
Yes, they're having some sort of technical difficulties with the scoreboard, so the on-field officials will be timing the game, and once we get it straightened out, we'll be the benefactors of that as well.
In the meantime, how you feeling after coming off the field like that? That was an emotional win for the Northern Red Knights.
It was, and I mean, we scored in the last minute, and we were behind all game, and it was just a matter of trying to convince our players that, excuse me, to convince our players that, what they had done all season by finishing first place wasn't a fluke, just play to their abilities and hang in there, and it was really a win based on the will of the team.
Look out, right off the bat, we've got a great run here by the Lakeshore Phoenix. This is Anthony Dubé, and Dubé is taken down at about the 20-yard line of the Malvern Black Knights. What a way to kick things off here in this Tier 2 championship.
Well, this is exactly the way you want to start a championship game. It's almost like a punch to the face to the other team, right? All of a sudden now you're on the other team's 15-yard line. You score points, and they're the underdogs. You want to put that little seed of doubt in the other players' minds. That's exactly what you wanted here.
Outstanding as the Lakeshore Phoenix have got the ball officially on the 13-yard line. And we got the score clock back. We've got all the timing in place. And the Phoenix are going to try and run the ball, but Dan, no yards on the carry.
Yeah, they're running from a shotgun with two backs in the backfield. It'll be interesting to see if they keep those two backs in the backfield, especially on second and long like they have right now in a passing down. That time they tried to dive right up the middle, but the Malvern defenders were equal to the task that time.
Looking at the quarterback for the Lakeshore Phoenix, Jack Keefe. Starting quarterback. Ashton Berrio out there on the field as well. He's playing multiple positions for the Lakeshore Phoenix here today, but Jack Keefe gets the starting nod as the quarterback in shotgun. And he's going to scramble and play action. He's going to take it himself. He gets about 4 or 5 yards, but he was hammered as he goes out of bounds on the play.
There's a flag there for sure. There's a flag. Quarterback was certainly hit well out of bounds.
For the quarterback keeper.
So we're going to get a first down for Lakeshore there. They're lining up with a tight end into what we would typically call a pro set. They have a tight end, 2 wide receivers, and 2 running backs. And I'm just said I'll be interested to see if they stay in that for the rest of the game, especially if a lot of pressure is being put on them, as Malvern did right there. But it's a great job that time by the quarterback to scramble and draw the penalty.
Unnecessary roughness, Malvern.
Unnecessary roughness against the Malvern Black Knights on the call, so that's going to be a huge penalty, and it'll bring the Lakeshore Phoenix right down to first and goal.
Yeah, it looks like they're on the 2-yard line right now.
High formation for the Phoenix. High snap. Keefe hands off, and right off the bat, the Black Knights are going to shut that one down. And in on the tackle was number 5, Max Nabur, the middle linebacker on the play.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an issue right now that the front 5 or front 4, depending on how they line up for Malvern, look considerably stronger right now. But, I mean, as the game wears on, we'll see what the difference is. But right now, they're winning the battles up front.
Dana McKeel, Dan Domenico bringing you all the action here from Varsity Stadium in downtown Toronto, Canada, and streamed on YouTube, as well as broadcast here on CIUT Radio 89.5 FM. Here's the Lakeshore Phoenix, again in I formation. Jack Keefe, high snap. They're going to run this one up the gut. And
very little game. And the reason I mentioned that last play about the strength of the Malvern team, if the other team is just stopping you right up the middle and you're not being able to shove them off the ball, you're going to have to do something different. You're going to have to create some movement. You're going to have to create some deception so that it's just not running it up the middle and giving the ball back to the other team, because they've gained almost, it looks like about 1 yard after 3 plays of running it up the middle.
Yeah, no doubt when you get into that kind of situation that you're lulling the team to sleep. But at the same time, the defense will key in on that, Dan.
That's correct.
High snap again. They're going to hand off and go off tackle on the play. And the Black Knights are going to shut this one down right there at the 3-yard line. Tough go for the Lakeshore Phoenix in the red zone.
Well, they ran the same play 3 times in a row, and it looks like it's just a tailback dive. The fullback sort of runs to the other side. It's almost like a double dive, but they kept on giving it to the second back, and that time Malvern was just equal to the task. They just shut down the running game completely. So, like, I think it's going to be next time we see the Lakeshore offense, we're going to have to see a little bit of variation, a little bit of movement, maybe moving the quarterback, putting the ball up in the air if they have any passing ability.
Here's the Malvern Black Knights and the offense coming out on the field. They're led by quarterback Cole Reno.
It was a pickup of 2 or 3 yards. They're just trying to give a little bit of room there for the quarterback to operate in, being on their own 5-yard line.
And lots of fans are staying around to watch this game. We've got a pretty good house here today. Lots of fans who've brought non-perishable food items for the Daily Bread Food Bank, as that was one of the requisites for attending today's game here at Varsity Stadium in downtown Toronto. And they're going to pitch with Cole Reno pitching outside on the play. And the Malvern Black Knights are going to run this one.
Yeah, that was an interesting play. They ran out of a closed end, meaning they had no receivers to the one side of the formation, and they pitched to the strong side. And that was a really nice run that time by the Malvern running back.
As the sun is continuing to slow down, Dan, it's been quite a day. It's upwards of 75 degrees. And here's people in T-shirts and shorts out here in the field, or out here in the stands today watching this football championship. And another snap. They're going to run a wildcat and go outside on the play. Here's the Malvern Black Knights. And number 81 on the play, DeJuan Burke. 6'3", 140 pounds, dripping wet, and he brings the ball out to almost the 30-yard line.
Yeah, that was a well-run play that time. And as you called it correctly, they ran a wildcat. They lined up 3 backs in the backfield, but the quarterback took off and actually led the blocking. And the third running back got the ball, and everybody else in front of him sort of blocks. It's almost a student body, we call it, right, when you send a whole bunch of blockers and everybody to the one side of the formation. But it was very effective. It's now 2nd and 2.
2nd and 2 situation. Cole Reno calling the shots for the Malvern Black Knights. Again, they're going to run with a wildcat. This time it's Harry Alessi, and Alessi brings it.
Now, he stepped out of bounds. It looked like he was gone all the way, but he certainly stepped the ball. But he got all the way out to the center field strike.
And the first down.
Another good first down by Malvern. And
that was a good run by Alessi as he brings it out to midfield. So it'll be first down for the Malvern Black Knights. They got lots of speed in the backfield, Dan.
They have, it looks like they have 2 or 3 different backs, including the quarterback that we talked about, that they're willing to carry the ball. And the one thing they do have is some speed.
You know, the Black Knights. Receivers are wide. A lot of motion in the backfield. Again, they're going to run with a wildcat.
He's going to get the edge.
DeJuan Burke, and he goes wide on the play. Going to try and thread the needle on the play, but he brings it down to the 40-yard line of the Lakeshore Phoenix.
Well, and you know, before when I was talking about Lakeshore, you know, they just applied, you know, I know they were on the 2-yard line, but they kept on trying to plow it up the middle, and they were, you know, they met a wall and really didn't pick up any yardage. Here, what Malvern's doing is they're overloading one side of the formation, and then it's just it's a quarterback keep. He's just running a sweep around the end. He's got 3 or 4 blockers in front of him, and just by sheer numbers, they've been picking up mass chunks of yards every time they touch it. Same thing again. Again,
they're going to run another wildcat, but this time Lakeshore keyed in on that, and they shut it down right there at the Lakeshore 37-yard line.
Well, the really good job was done that time by number 41 for Lakeshore, who is Andrew Serino, who's the linebacker. He forced, he contained the play, making the quarterback who was carrying the ball to go back up the middle where they had lots of help. The last 3 or 4 times they've run this play, they've been able to get the edge. So that was a really good job by Serino that time.
Again, going with this shotgun.
And wide open.
Play action. And that was almost picked off.
Yeah, the quarterback that time for Malvern did not have wasn't able really to step into the ball because he was getting hit just as he threw it, and so consequently the ball came up a little short. But he had a receiver wide open if he could have got another 10 more yards of air on the ball. But a good job at that time by Lakeshore to shut it down.
Cole Reno out there running the offense for the Malvern Black Knights. There was a chance that that ball could have been picked off, Dan.
Well, absolutely. I mean, it was sort of fluttering up there because, as I said, he just got whacked just as he was trying to throw the ball. Looks like they're going for it on third down. Oh, and they went on a hard count or a delayed count, and they drew Lakeshore offside. So they got it easy 5 yards. We'll see what they're going to do now on third down again.
Now, we saw the same situation in the last game, the Tier 1 championship, where you drew Richview off twice.
Well, it was in a crucial down. We had sort of been holding on to it all, at least until the second half, and we sort of saved it until we needed it, just because, they were doing a pretty good job of applying pressure to us. So, when you run what's called a hard count, where it isn't just on the first hut, it really slows down the defenders, and that worked to perfection there.
Malvern Black Knights again, running with a full house backfield. They pitch. Here's the Black Knights looking to run this one before Lakeshore shuts it down. That was on the run, Crispin Noakes on the play.
Well, Crispin Noakes lined up the slot back, and they just ran that as the traditional fly sweep. So he just came across the formation. The quarterback got the ball and just get a little toss to him, and he picked up the first down. Well-designed play, well run.
5'7", 140 pounds, a 5'7" slot back for the Malvern Black Knights. Again, they run with that full house backfield.
Well, this has been an impressive drive. They've gone, from their own 2-yard line.
Reno going with the pass, and that was intended for number 87, Michael Saritas, the wide receiver on the play. He couldn't hold on to it.
Well, I'll tell you what happened. He was pointing up at the sun there because even though we have a little clouds now, right, they're still looking back into the sun, and that was just, a little wide receiver screen or a bubble pass, we call it, where, the one receiver goes and blocks his man, and the other one just stands at the line, turns around and catches a quick pass. But like I said, that went right through his hands, and I think the sun had a little bit to do with it.
Second down situation. Here's the Malvern Black Knights as they pitch very quickly. This is Adrian Wing on the play, and he's going to be tackled. Number 41, Andrew Storino, the linebacker, coming up to make the play, but Wing had that opportunity to take it into the end zone if he got clear.
Well, Wing did a nice job. That was the same fly sweep that we talked about before, where they used on third down and 5. They used it again and another first down. So, they're very effective right now at getting outside. It appears as though they're not really trying to run up the middle because it looks as though that's where the strength of the Lakeshore defense is, but they've got to the edge almost every single time so far.
Fantastic. Here again is Malvern Black Knights. Reno hands off. And they look to run it in. DeJuan Burke, and he takes it to the house, and the Malvern Black Knights strike first.
Yeah, very nice call. That time they faked the fly sweep, and then they gave it to one of the running backs on a little counter, and he was able just to walk into the end zone. That was a wonderful drive right there from Malvern, taking it from their own 2 all the way down the field, marching it down.
Score coming at 2:47 left here in the first quarter of play. Dan, you were going to mention on that play.
Well, what's really impressive for me is that, when we get to a championship game like this, you have a full slate of 6 officials. Like a lot of the times when you're playing, or I should say in this case they got 4, but sometimes during the regular season you only have 2 or 3 officials, right? So to drive all the way down the field without taking a penalty or a holding, that's really something special.
Here's the kick, and it's good.
Sean McCready's extra point is good.
There's Sean McCready coming up with the kick through the uprights. 7-0 for the Malvern Black Knights. Interesting how they held the ball for the convert, and the holder had to move around because it's a left-handed kicker.
Right, it was interesting. But what I was mentioning before is that, when you have 6 officials now, there's that's like double the eyes that are watching on the play now. So stuff that doesn't get called because each official sort of has his own, like he's looking at the line or he's looking at the backfield or whatever. Now you've got double the number of players. So to be able to do that without committing those little fouls that sometimes you get away with in the regular season is really impressive, especially when they marched it the entire way down the field.
Yeah, interesting that we've got 6 officials out there, Dan, because normally high school football has 4. So this is a luxury in this Tier 2 championship.
Well, it's a championship game, right? And the players deserve the best for the championship.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Malvern Black Knights, the Lakeshore Phoenix here in this Tier 2 championship from Varsity Stadium in downtown Toronto, Canada. Dana McKeel, Dan Domenico, as we bring you all the action. And lo and behold, look who arrived, the Malvern Black Knights and the marching band. And it'll be great to see them in action. Lakeshore Phoenix looking to reply, and they get the ball out to the Malvern 45. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Lakeshore Phoenix.
Well, you know what? Malvern tried the short kick that time, but it backfired. So the ball hit the ground. Like, you know, they tried the little up and under short kick, you know, 10-yard kick, but the ball hit the ground and the Lakeshore player was able to pick it up on the run. He almost went for a touchdown. So, you know, they've got the ball almost from the same point that they kicked off. But if you remember the way the game started, they had a big return. So I guess they were trying to keep the ball out of the speedy kick returns for Lakeshore. But they still got great field position here.
Here's the Phoenix in shotgun. Jack Keefe. He's able to get the pass off and the tackle by the Malvern Black Knights. Able to shut down that offense. They only gained about 3 yards on the carry, Dan.
But that was good to see. They they moved the pocket that time. So the quarterback rolled out. They took some of the running backs, brought them out into the play. And so it was a nice little reception. But, you know, again, even better tackle that time by the Malvern player. If he didn't make the tackle, he was going to pick up another 5 or 6 yards at least.
The Lakeshore Phoenix certainly keeping an eye on the time count. Here's Jack Keefe in shotgun. Again, lining up in I formation. 2nd down situation. They hand off to the tailback. This is Sam Corbin, and Corbin is able to get it down close to a 1st down, but I think they may have to measure this one off.
Nice play, though. That time it was a power or a lead. So the other running back actually, you know, provided the block, and they've got very close to a 1st down. I'm still surprised they didn't try that play down on the goal line, because that really, you know, that actually opened up the play quite a lot.
3rd down situation and inches.
It's got to be inches.
Here's a Lakeshore Phoenix.
Oh, no, don't
and
go outside.
Hand off, and he goes outside, and certainly that's the case with Sam Corbin. And the Malvern Black Knights shut that one down. Dan, the quarterback, was lined up in shotgun. They only had inches to go.
Well, you know what? I can sympathize with, you know what? You know, we didn't put in our own, we call our formation, you know, a jumbo, where we put in big linemen and the quarterback goes under center, because I run out of a shotgun as well. But we had to put it in just for situations like this, where you have 3rd down and a yard, 3rd down to country. It doesn't make sense to shotgun the ball when you just need the quarterback to snap it and just fall forward, right? And that's what they should have done there.
Exactly. And bit of an entanglement there as we see the Malvern Black Knights. And number 14, Harry Alessi. He's seeing a lot of action here in the 1st half.
Well, that was a really nice play by the linebacker, Jason Varghese. He slashed across, or scrape as we call it, and he took the player down after just a couple of yard gain.
So the ball on the 43-yard line, the 44-yard line.
And he is the Mike linebacker, or the middle linebacker, or the sort of the featured linebacker.
Reno going with the pass outside. That one was a low skip on the pass intended for number 83, Sean McCready.
Well, again, Jason Varghese, we just talked about, they blitzed him from his middle linebacker position there, and that's the reason why the pass skipped, because there was a lot of pressure felt that time by the quarterback, and he skipped it into the receiver.
Look at that Cole Rainey. Good size on him, too, at 6'2", 160 pounds, and he's only in grade 11. He's got lots of time to grow.
Well, you know what? However, that was a really good defensive series that time by the Phoenix, after having Malvern, you know, march the ball down the entire field on them the previous possession.
And here's the Phoenix on the return. Number 32 on the play, Daniel Segovia, and he's able to get it out to midfield.
Well,
It'll
we
be
have
first down, but we have a flag on the play.
Yes, you're right. There was a flag, and it was clearly no yards given on the kick, so they're going to get a few more yards here out of this. You know, Lakeshore cannot complain about the field position they've had so far, right? You know, they had the ball starting, you know, like inside on the 13-yard line. They had it on the Malvern 45-yard line. They're going to get the ball again somewhere around the Malvern 40-yard line this time too.
Well, that'll end the first quarter of play with the Malvern Black Knights leading the Lakeshore Phoenix 7-0 in this Tier 2 championship, city championship here in Toronto.
Now, you know, the interesting thing, and far be it from me to question coaches because I do exactly the same thing. They just went the entire way down the field, you know, getting to the outside and being able to get to the edge and using the fly sweeps and the quarterback sweeps. That went all the way 108 yards. That other series, they decided to do something different. Now, don't get me wrong. I do the same thing. I say to myself, I've got all this lovely playbook. Why don't I use it, right? Well, why don't you just run it until they stop it, right? And,
if you can. Reno takes, or Jack Keefe takes a high snap. And the Lakeshore Phoenix are going to run that ball up the gut up to about the 50-yard line. So
yeah, I don't think they're going to have I don't think they're going to get a lot of success running up the gut. I think they're going to have to move around because I think the front six of Malvern is just a little bit too strong. But it's a long game, and sometimes you can wear them down because they do have some big boys up there. Lakeshore does on their front line.
Second down situation. It's 2nd and 9 for the Phoenix. Again in shotgun formation. And looking to go long distance in the pass. And it was almost picked off. Ethan McMillan, the defensive back on the play. Jack Keefe's pass was going long bomb.
I wish I could describe it. It was exactly what you would call a circus catch, right? He went up with one hand, he was in the air, he pulled it down. It's almost like you were watching NFL films, you know, and they were, you know, and he had that deep voice of the announcer in the background because he almost made a spectacular interception. But at least he knocked down the pass, and it's going to be 3rd down for Lakeshore.
Anthony Dubé, the intended receiver on the play, it brings up a 3rd down situation and the Phoenix punt team out on the field.
Yeah, but again, what a play by Ethan McMillan.
There's the kick by Jack Keefe, and here's the return by Ethan McMillan. McMillan getting around one defender. He's got some pretty good speed out there, and he brings it out to midfield before tackled to the turf. That'll be a 1st down for the Malvern Black Knights.
Yeah, Ethan McMillan showing he's quite versatile. Not only does he break up the play, now he returns the kick almost 35 yards back for great field position for Malvern near center field.
No, they're good. Yeah. And here's the run for the Malvern Black Knights as they get it down to the 47-yard line of the Lakeshore Phoenix.
Well, Carter must be listening to the broadcast because he went back to getting around the edge to great effect there. He got picked up another 1st down.
Ball placed on the 47-yard line of the Lakeshore Phoenix. And Lakeshore's had a pretty good run. It's only been a 3-team league, but they've had Newton Brook in their league as well. And all teams are looking to move up and play high-caliber football next season.
Right.
Handoff. They're going to run this one up the gut. This is Harry Eloise. And he's going both ways as a running back and as a linebacker.
Well, you know, the Malvern has a pretty big front line, and they're just running behind their 2 big tackles, and they've been very effective running the ball. And they have another 2nd down and short. And
they're going to run this one right up the middle. So the run game has been very much the focus for both squads here in this first half.
And right there, we talked about, under center, the quarterback just getting the ball quickly, and he just drove forward, got the first down.
Ball placed on the 36-yard line.
The one thing we're seeing that Malvern is doing really well right now is they're executing. They've been executing all their plays, and they haven't made any mistakes so far, haven't fumbled the ball or missed big tackles or I should say blocks. So
this is Cole Reno with a long pass, and it's caught. The Black Knights able to capitalize on the pass.
Well, they ran a little smash route, what we call that time, where you have an inside receiver run a corner and the outside receiver run a little stop route, and the corner was wide open, and a big gain right there. So they're inside the 10-yard line, first down and goal to go from the 9.
That was a successful pass to Adrian Wing, the slot back, a 5'9", 145-pound receiver in grade 11 for the Black Knights. They're going to pitch outside. This is Harry Alessi. And we saw a couple of key hits out there too, Dan, as Alessi hits the turf.
Well, all Malvern is doing right now is they're just getting more bodies to the point of attack than the other team. So they're putting people in motion. They have 3 running backs in the backfield. They're all leaving early, and they're just getting the ball out to them really quickly. I would suspect to see, probably not right now, but they're going to have some sort of counter off that play, just the way they had a counter off the fly sweep action they did before.
Looking at Archie McPherson at 6'2", 295 pounds. That's a lot of size out there, Dan, on the offense. Here's Reno again. He's being chased out of the pocket in play action, and he'll throw this one away, but that was a good pursuit by George Nasopoulos, the linebacker.
Well, we have a flag on the play. I think it's going against Malvern, but I didn't really see anything at the point of attack there. I don't think it was an intentional grounding. But it looks like they're talking to Lakeshore, so certainly they're going to take them back on this.
Yeah, we got flags on the play. Certainly a credit to everyone here today. We got a pretty good house here watching this Tier 2 championship. Beautiful day here in downtown Toronto, Canada at Varsity Stadium.
It's actually an interesting choice. I shouldn't have been quick to say, because it'll be third down on the 4-yard line, or they'll give them second down again. And I have a feeling they're going to maybe push them back and make them and give them second down one more time.
So that's exactly the case. They're going to pull the ball back to about the 15-yard line. Here's the Malvern Black Knights on a bad snap, and the play just did not materialize, Dan. It didn't get off.
Well, that's the first mistake we've seen from Malvern. It looks like they jumped somebody. It looked like the right side of the line jumped, and I think they're going to be charged for a legal procedure.
Looking at Jason Varghese, the linebacker as well, 6 foot, 205 pounds. He's a senior in the lineup for the Phoenix.
So that takes them back another 5 yards. So now they have second and goal from their own 19. They were, remember, on the 2-yard line just a couple of minutes, just a couple of plays ago. And boy, what a change this could be for Phoenix if they can keep them off the score sheet here, or at least force them to kick the ball.
Here's Cole Reno in shotgun. He's got receivers going up the seam. And the pass is wide open and caught. Touchdown, Malvern Black Knights.
Reno's pass complete.
Yeah, that was Cole Reno again. You know what? They ran a play in which we call the verticals. And it sounds like it's simple, where all the receivers just run straight. But it's the most used play in football, and he ran in the seam. There wasn't a defender to be around him, and a great job by the quarterback, Cole, to hit the receiver.
Wide open Adrian Wing on the play for the touchdown.
You know, you dream of those type of plays as a receiver, that when you're down in the field, you're in the end zone, and you can't see anybody on the other team.
And that was kind of a weird snap, but certainly it materialized. And the Malvern Black Knights put the ball through the convert, through the uprights for the convert. 14-0 for the Black Knights here in the first half.
Well, it looked like the ball was sort of doing, a spinorama there as it was going through, but it still went through. That's all that counts. Well, I think, it was almost the same. I think Alabama lost, remember, to, was it Tennessee, where the kicker did the same thing a couple of weeks ago, where the ball literally was spinning around like a top as it went through the goalpost, right? But it was still went through, still got the 3 points. They got their point there. Nice call that time by the quarter by Malvern there with running the verticals. Like I said, it's every team that plays football basically has it, right? But it's not a simple play to run, but they ran to perfection.
Wow. By the way, that's the Malvern Black Knight marching band in the background, and they just arrived a short time ago. Ladies and gentlemen, getting around Toronto is a very difficult thing to begin with, as Toronto is just a burgeoning city and ever-expanding city. So we've got a lot of action here in the city, and getting around is very difficult. So they arrived here in the stadium, and they've added an awful lot of flair and excitement to the crowd. Here's the return for the Phoenix, and there's a fumble on the play. Do the Black Knights recover? We're going to wait for the officials to make that call. And they do. The Black Knights recover on a fumble. And just not what the Lakeshore Phoenix want to see here with 6:53 left here in the half.
Well, Malvern decided that they weren't going to put the ball up in the air because they were hurt the last couple of kicks. So they dribbled the ball on the ground, and I suspect what happened is one of the Phoenix players that picked it up is not a player that's used to carrying the ball, and he just didn't have good ball security. It was punched out of his hands, and the result is Malvern has the ball on the Phoenix 25-yard line.
Here's Cole Reno. Got an assortment of receivers out there. He's got 4 receivers coming off the line, and he's going to go right up the middle on the play, and it's caught again. Adrian Wing going up the seam on the play for another touchdown for the Malvern Black Knights.
Well, guess what? They just ran the same play again. So if they didn't stop it the first time, why not run it again? That was just the verticals, and Adrian ran up the seam. It was a little bit closer to being picked off, but he did a really good concentrating, and he caught the ball, and now all of a sudden they're up 3 touchdowns to nothing.
McCready back for the kick as they set for the convert, and that one just did not materialize and was not able to get through the uprights at all, Dan. So they're going to falter on the convert. It's still 20-0 for the Malvern Black Knights here in the first half of action.
Yeah, that's a bit of a gut punch when you give up a long touchdown, like on a second and long from where they were, and then fumble the kickoff, and then you give up the same play again, and all of a sudden you just blink and you're down 3 scores. So we definitely need to see the Lakeshore Phoenix come out here and put together some sort of a drive. Even if they don't score, they've got to hold on to the ball to give their defense a bit of rest, and they really do need to move it to gain some field position. Or else this game could very quickly spiral out of control.
A touchdown brought to you by the Toronto Argonauts and Marchand School Sports. Everything you need to be in the game. Here's the return for the Lakeshore Phoenix as they bring it out just over the 40-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Phoenix, and they've got to start getting something going offensively.
Right, and Malvern there, very good strategy. They did exactly the same thing again. They just dribbled the ball along the ground, and the reason you do that is, you could tell the Phoenix have 2 very fast returners. By dribbling the ball, you force somebody else to pick up the ball that isn't really a fast running back and isn't used to carrying the ball. It worked perfectly last time for Malvern because they forced the fumble. This time, the receiver, the player who caught the ball, he ran it back a few yards, but certainly it wasn't a big return.
Here's the Phoenix, Jack Keefe. Keefe looking to throw the ball, and he's going to go long distance on the pass and drop on the play. Receiver had it right in his arms.
Oh, he just ran the fade on the outside, and it was a pretty good ball that should have been caught. I think you asked the receiver right there. He was probably feeling pretty bad right now that he didn't catch the ball. I think that was Sam Corbin that had it. Now, the defensive back, to his credit, sort of got back because he was beaten badly. He sort of got back into the play and sort of stuck his hand in his face, but that should have been pulled down for a big gain.
Well, Sam Corbin will want to play, get that one going again. He'll definitely want his number called again. Here's Jack Keefe. And he's going to pitch, and it looked like it bounced, but a late hit on the play as well.
Well, that was the option play. So what they did is they optioned to the weak side, and the quarterback just got sort of hit as he was pitching the ball, and it bounced. But a really nice job there by the Phoenix running back to pick it up and pick up 9 yards. So now it'll be interesting to see what they do on 3rd and 1, whether they're going to go for it or whether they're going to punt.
Daniel Segovia playing in the backfield for the Lakeshore Phoenix on that pitch. So the ball placed on the 52-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 1 for the Phoenix.
This is going to be a huge play right now. I mean, this play right here could determine really almost the entire game in some respects, because if they can pick up the first down and continue their drive and maybe get a score, that will give them a lot of life going into the second half. But you're putting your defense under a lot of pressure if you don't get it here. But I think they sort of have to go for it here.
Yeshua Hernandez hurriedly going off the field, getting some instruction from...
What I'd like to see them do is I'd like to see them run that lead they ran before. They instead of trying like the double dive that they did down near the goal line, I'd like to see them have the fullback make a block up there and the running back run right behind them.
Use a little bit more muscle.
Exactly. Because you can see it looks as though they're still under the shotgun, right? That's and.
Exactly with the case they hand off. That's a high snap, and the Malvern Black Knights read that quite well. They're still going, and the Phoenix able to still get a couple of yards out of the play.
Are you kidding me? What a play.
Jason Varghese is able to get out of bounds on the play, but that's a first down for the Lakeshore Phoenix.
I mean, we have to describe this play. They basically just ran the ball up the middle. It was snuffed out for like 2 yards. They didn't even pick up, any yardage at all. In fact, he was stopped 2 yards deep in the backfield, but he sort of bounced out, ran around the end, and picked up the first down. What a play.
Caden Forbes out there on the field as well. He's a mammoth of a man out there, a student, but a man out there. He's over 260 pounds and a lot of power. Short pass for the Phoenix. They get it out to the Malvern 45, and Lakeshore seems to be unraveling their offense. They seem to be a little more in sync now.
Well, you know what? I mean, they're showing a little versatility here. I mean, that time the quarterback did just a little half roll, and he found one of the backs out of the backfield, and he picked up about 8 yards here. I mean, that's what they need to do. They need to mix it up, and they've done a really good job so far on this drive. But like I said, they needed a response right now. Like, even if they don't score, they needed a response to give their defense a blow, but it would be really great if they could come up with a score somehow here.
4:24 and counting left here in the half. They hand off. Again, they're going to the big running back, Jason Varghese, and he brings it down to the 35-yard line. It's tough trying to stop Jason Varghese.
Hey, no doubt about that one. The snap was a little bit high, and a nice job by the quarterback to pull it down. But Jason, once he got the ball in his hands, had a little head of steam under him, and that was the difference. He was moving when he hit the line and easily got the first down. First and 10 from the 36-yard line. This has been a really nice drive so far from Lakeshore.
So they've placed the ball officially at the 36-yard line. 3:43 and counting here in the first half. Another high snap. Here's Jack Keefe being chased out of the pocket, and he's looking for the short pass, and it's just not going to happen. He had an avalanche of defenders coming down on top of him, Dan.
Well, he rolled out, but he rolled out to the short side, and there was just so many defenders. He was trying to look to throw a little pass into the sideline to one of his receivers, but one of the Malvern players just knocked it down because there wasn't really any room to operate there. But a good job of getting rid of the ball. At least he didn't take a sack.
This will be a second down situation for the Lakeshore Phoenix.
But they are moving, you know, they're starting to move the pocket. They realize that they just can't stand back there, and, you know, they've been a little bit more creative on this drive. We'll see what they can come up with on 2nd and 10.
Segovia and Jason Verghese again, but he gets shut down defensively. Nice move. A good tackle by Cole Pratt, the linebacker, on the play.
Huge play by Cole, because if Cole doesn't make that play, Jason has the edge, and he would have picked up about 15, 20 yards. So that was really impressive tackle right there by Cole.
Cole Pratt playing the linebacker position. He's in grade 10. And for a lot of our viewers and listeners, that these are varsity teams, so we're getting players as young as grade 9 in the lineup.
And that's one of the real big distinctions, too, between the tiers, right, is that, you know, tier 1 is just clearly like just senior and junior teams, right? So they're, you know, over 16 for the senior and so forth. But with the varsity team, you could have anywhere from grade 9 to 12 through your lineup.
Here's the Lakeshore Phoenix school, formerly known as Alderwood Collegiate, formerly known as New Toronto Collegiate. And here they are today with a 3rd down situation. And a pitch out by Jack Keefe. And the Phoenix continue to run this one.
Well, they ran the option again that time, and while it was a nice pickup, you know, while they picked up about 5 or 6 yards, unfortunately it was 3rd and 15, right? So, but they did try, you know, to be a little bit different on that play, and I think that play can work again for them.
Daniel Segovia seeing an awful lot of action here in the first half for the Lakeshore Phoenix. 20-0 for the Malvern Black Knights. And no doubt Lakeshore is going to want to talk about this one before they come out for the second half of action.
Well, you know, like I said, that was an important drive. Even if they didn't score there, they at least keep their defense off the field and gave them a chance to get a little bit of a breather. If they can put up another stop here and go into the halftime, you know, without being scored upon again, you know, you can make adjustments at halftime and things can turn around in your favor.
Here the Malvern Black Knights with the ball. They go with the pass. This is Ethan McMillan with the ball. Nice move. Gets around a couple of defenders. And he looked like he was tripped up on the play. Number 69, Ibrahim.
And when you say tripped up on the play, you literally mean it looked as though he might have stuck his leg out there. Now, I'm not sure he actually tried to trip him, but certainly, you know, certainly that time, Ethan sort of tripped over that boy's leg as he was trying to make a cut on him. But boy, Ethan has got a lot of moves, doesn't he?
That was Ibrahim making the tackle for the Lakeshore Phoenix. 5'11", 170 pounds. He's a senior in the lineup for the Phoenix as well. Dave Blazinski has done a good job over the course of the season, though, preparing his players, coming out for practice.
So they declined to call that a penalty. I think they were discussing that right there because, you know, they decided that it wasn't a trip, so they picked up the flag, and it's still going to be 1st down for Malvern, but the trip could have added an extra 15 yards on.
Looking at Ethan McMillan, who goes both ways, Dan, as a slot back and as a defensive back. He's got a lot of speed.
He has a lot of speed, and as I said, you know, he's a very shifty character, and you know he's really made a difference so far for the Malvern team.
I got another whistle on the play. They were looking to move the ball from the left. Harry Alessi, another player going both ways as a running back and as a linebacker.
And, you know, and Ethan is a grade 12 player, and you can tell the grade 12 players are just a little bit more polished. You know, they've had a couple. Now, we've had COVID and we've had, you know, disruptions to football over the last several years. But clearly, you know, you can tell the difference between some of the senior boys and the younger boys here, and just in terms of how they, you know, their football intuition on the field.
Well, we got a bit of a delay in the action here.
We've also got the sun now back in our eyes. The clouds have sort of gone away, and they're interesting is that they're down now in the end of the field where the sun does make a difference. When you get down to the north end of the field, you have the athletic building across the street that blocks the sun. But once you get past that building now, they're staring right in this. Certainly receivers, you know, on the east side of the field are staring right into that sun right now.
And for those of you who do know where Toronto and Varsity Stadium is, that it's the Goldring Center off of just across the street from on the west side of Varsity Stadium that we're talking about, and there's still that sunshine. That is a factor. Here's Reno as he lofts the ball up. It's picked off. The Lakeshore Phoenix pick off the pass. This is David Christie. And he goes out of bounds on the play.
Well, a really nice job that time by Damon Christie to pick off the ball. That was a little bit of an ill-advised throw that time by Cole Reno. I don't, I think he was off balance. He didn't really have his player open there. But they're going to also tack on another 15 yards because Damon Christie was tackled when he was well out of bounds. So we've got a scoring opportunity right now for the Phoenix, and this is their opportunity to get back into the game. They need to try to put some points on the board.
The Phoenix. And that's right, Dan. They're going to march the ball down the field. They're going to bring the ball down to the 38-yard line of the Malvern Black Knights. So this is renewed optimism for the Lakeshore Phoenix here in the latter stages of the first half. Looking on the pass, here's Jack Keefe. And it's picked off. The Black Knights have got the ball. Ethan McMillan comes up with the pick. And he hit the turf. The whistle is blowing. The play is dead, but McMillan comes up with the interception.
Yeah, he tried rolling out that time. He had a receiver open. You know, they had Anthony Dubé was open way down the field, but the quarterback just wasn't able. He was running and being pursued, and he just wasn't able to get enough on the ball, and so that was picked off easily by Ethan. It was just underthrown.
Looking at Yeshua Hernandez, who's jogging off the field, and he's feeling it. I'm not sure if it's his left ankle or if it's left knee, but he's sure feeling some pain as he goes off the field. The Phoenix don't have a huge lineup, so they're certainly counting on him. He's gone over to see the trainer right now. See what can be done for treatment. And here's the Malvern Black Knights as they run the ball, and they go out of bounds on the play. That was a nice tackle by Damon Christie. Another play that goes both ways.
Yes, Damon, who, well, we just mentioned his name before for intercepting the ball. That was a really nice tackle. They pitched out that time, and it was a nice pickup, but a really good tackle that time by Damon to at least limit to 8 yards. You know, Damon plays as the cornerback, and he had 2 or 3 blockers. He was able to shed those blockers and still get the running back right there. So a very impressive play that time by Damon.
So the ball will be placed officially at the 31-yard line. It'll be 2nd and 2 for the Black Knights. They've got one back, but they hand off in a reverse. Almost looked like a crossbuck as they run the ball up the seam, and that was Adrian Wing again on the play. Adrian Wing has been quite prominent here in the first half, Dan.
Well, he's got the 2 touchdowns on the seam passes, and that time he just ran a little counter and picked up another first down. We've got a minute left in the half and counting. It'll be interesting to see what sort of offense they can put together here with less than a minute to go.
So the ball placed at the 45-yard line. Motion in the backfield. They pitch. They're going to go right on the play. This is DeJuan Burke with the ball, and he gets it out to midfield.
Yeah, DeJuan that right that time got airborne trying to pick up a few yards, and almost looked like Jason Allen trying to hop over there and picked up 9 yards there. They're keeping the ball on the ground. Now they're picking up yardage, but you know, we're down also to 38 seconds. I think they're, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if they come out with that vertical pass they had before to the last 2 times they scored the touchdowns. To Mr. Wing, to Adrian before.
And they pitch out. They're going to go right again. Harry Alessi, and we've got a fumble on the play. And the officials looked at, they're pointing in the favor of the Malvern Black Knights, so they do recover and they do move the sticks. That'll be a first down for the Black Knights.
Well, that was very lucky for the Black Knights. And again, I'm a little surprised here. They're up 20-0, but they could really, they could really put a nail into the coffin here for the game if they could score with this 20 seconds to go. But they keep on pitching the ball left and right. Now, I also understand they've been picking up big yardage, and it probably is a much safer play. But they got lucky that time because they fumbled, but they still recovered it.
University of Toronto Varsity Blues athletics run 24/7 with over 25
And the ball
men's
placed
and women's competitive
at the
sports.
49-yard line
VarsityBlues.ca for
of the Lakeshore
schedules,
Phoenix. It's
rosters,
been a tough
and
go for the
news
Phoenix here in
information.
the first half.
Well, like I said, that was very fortunate. Like, they're doing a good job limiting us. They're picking 7, 8, 9 yards up at a time, but they're also running off a lot of the clock. And there's 20 seconds left. I still feel as though Malvern's got to maybe take a shot or two downfield to try to score a touchdown here. Here comes the seam. Nope.
Cole Reno in play action. The throw out in the flat. He was able to make the catch. Pass and catch to Adrian Wing on the play, and he'll go out of bounds.
Yes, but Adrian did a smart thing there. He caught the ball and went out of bounds, so he at least stopped the clock.
Smart player. Second down situation, 2nd and 6 for the Malvern Black Knights. And Wing will jog off on the sidelines. Well-deserved rest for that athlete. Malvern Black Knights. They've got a long history in football and rugby as well. Here's Cole Reno with the pass, and it's caught. This is Ethan McMillan, and he'll go into the end zone. Somehow he was able to dance around those defenders and get into the end zone, Dan.
Well, they did run the verticals again that time with Ethan McMillan just running the seam pattern, and the ball sort of hung up there, but credit Ethan for, great concentration, because he had 2 defenders around him and still managed to come down with the ball and score the touchdown. That could have quite easily gone the other way, intercepted or knocked down, but, Ethan really showed his value right there by concentrating and pulling in that pass.
They'll set up for the convert. And again, the kick is good through the uprights. I'm looking at Matthew Saritas on that kick, and I'm going, how do you guys do that? But it works, and especially when you're a left foot kicker.
Well, hey, it's not how, it's how many, right? So,
How many?
He's made 3 or 4 so far, right? And,
27-0, the Malvern Black Knights with 6 seconds left here in the half. Lakeshore Phoenix have got a lot to think about when they go to the dressing room.
Well, that one's going to hurt because, like I said, their defensive backs were in position that time. The pass sort of hung up there, but, sometimes it's almost like basketball rebounding. It's a war of wills. Who wants the ball more? And that time, Ethan just said, it's going to be my ball. I mean, Ethan's only 5'8", but he outjumped them, got the ball, and all credit to him.
Now, you've got a kid named Downer in your lineup, and his father is the anchor for CTV News.
Right, yes, absolutely. He was out in the field afterwards there.
It's great to see, and among the many personalities here at Varsity Stadium today. And the Lakeshore Phoenix are going to go out of bounds with the ball. That was the run by Jason Varghese. So he's been certainly an engine for the Lakeshore Phoenix, and that'll end the half. 27-0 in favor of the Malvern Black Knights. Dan, quick note before we take a break.
Well, they're down a lot of points here, but, you never know what can happen. They've got to come out in the second half, and, they clearly have to put together a drive and score. And, if they want to be able to change the outcome of this game, you have to create that seed of doubt in the other team. Like right now, Malvern's sort of having their way, and they got away with, they had a couple of sloppy plays there that turned out fantastic, but they've really controlled most of this game so far, and they're full value for the 27 points. But we need to see on the opening kickoff, a defensive stand by the Phoenix, and then we need to see them push the ball in the end zone.
We're going to take a break in the half here at Varsity Stadium in downtown Toronto. 27-0 in favor of the Malvern Black Knights as they lead the Lakeshore Phoenix in this TDSSAA High School Championship Tier 2 action from downtown Toronto. I'm Dana McKeel for Dan Domenico. We're going to take a break in the action, come back with the second half very shortly. 1. And welcome back for second half action here at the Tier 2 Championship, the TDSSAA High School Football Championship in Toronto. Malvern Black Knights leading the Lakeshore Phoenix 27-0 as we go into second half of action. And Dan, no doubt Dave Pazinski and the Lakeshore Phoenix have got a lot to talk about as they come out on the field here for second half.
Well, you know, it's been their inability to sustain drives right now. I mean, like, you know, you can't blame the defense for the entire score here because, you know, they've just been on the field a lot of the time. Malvern has done a couple of things really well. They've been able to get to the edge either with the sweeps or the wildcat or the jet sweeps that they've had, and they also threw the ball down the field on the vertical seam routes really well. I mean, clearly the Phoenix have to make a stop, and they've got to come out and score some points if they want to make this game competitive here in the second half.
So the Phoenix will kick to the Malvern Black Knights, and the sun looks to be setting in the west. Here's the kick from Jack Keefe, and the return for the Malvern Black Knights from their own 30. This is Ethan McMillan, and he's going to go wide. He was almost taken down. No, he's going to try and get around a couple of defenders. He's still standing and taken down at the 40-yard line. Talk about elusive.
Well, you know what? Regardless of anything else, Ethan McMillan is worth the price of admission right now, just watching him run around like that. He's fantastic. He's just one of those shifty guys that's hard to bring down. You know, he keeps his feet moving. He's always got his head up, and he just has that will that he just doesn't want to be tackled. I mean, they had 3 or 4 opportunities to knock him down there, and he kept on going.
And we've watched the clock as it winds down. It'll be in the fourth quarter, as per protocol, and Cole Reno hands off. They're going to run this one up the seam.
Yeah, that was a nice off-tackle play, and, you know, I mean, and that's the problem they have, that if they can't stop that play, you know, well then, you know, then you can either run off-tackle or you can keep bouncing it outside like they have. That's a really lethal combination right there.
Harry Alessi on the play. So the Lakeshore Phoenix have only got 11 minutes to be able to put up some points on the board and try and break even with the Malvern Black Knights. Otherwise, the Black Knights are going to carry this one out as the Tier 2 champions.
Well, the other thing we're looking at here as well, too, is, you know, I mean, they've got the win, but they've got to take advantage of it, right? We noticed the win was a big factor in our game there for the Tier 1 championship.
Here's Reno looking to air it out, and it was up the seam himself, but Lakeshore Phoenix, the Damon Crispy, the cornerback, had that route covered.
Well, almost on cue, as I was talking about the wind, you could see what happened. He tried to throw that seam pass up in the air, but he got a little bit too much air under it, and the wind just knocked it down. Now we have a flag here. It could be pass interference, but that was really unlucky for the Phoenix because that ball just sort of floated up there, and it really should have been anybody's ball.
This broadcast on CIUT Radio 89.5 FM. Streamed on YouTube around the world as we've got the City High School Football Championships right here from Toronto. Dana McKeel, Dan Domenico, and an all-star production crew bringing you the best of Toronto high school football. Here's Cole Reno. And quick pitch after a bad snap. This is Crispin Noakes on the play. And he's able to get around the edge. He'll bring it out to about the 35-yard line. We're trying to measure this one off as the sun continues to be a factor here in the fourth.
Well, that was their jet sweep that they've run again, and, you know, almost got stopped in the backfield by Jason Varghese. Now, you know, that's one of the players on the defense that we've been calling his name several times because he's, you know, as the middle linebacker, he's flying all over the place. But the inability of Lakeshore to be able to contain the wide runs is really what's hurt them the most in this game.
We've been able to adjust the clock, so we'll still maintain the third quarter, and they're going to go with a hitch. This is the Malvern Black Knights with the pass to Adrian Wing.
really nice job that time. See, that time they were able to string out the pitch, so they
Adrian
tried right
the,
there to just run the
reception there.
wide receiver bubble pass, as you call it, or screen pass. But, they were able to string the play out, and they only picked up a yard or two. So a nice stop. We're going to see whether Malvern is going to kick on 3rd and 5 or whether they're going to go for it.
Callum Nickel on the play defensively for the Phoenix.
I mean, if I was Malvern, I'd be going for it right now here too, because your offense has been moving the ball almost at will, and your defense has done a great job. I mean, I think if you try just running around the edge again, that's going to be a very difficult time for...
Now, certainly a fake on the handoff, and they're going to reverse it. Here's Cole Reno as he goes wide on the play and tackled.
What a nice job. So that time what they tried the
with
fake
carry.
reverse
Tackle by number 7, Danny
QB
Christie.
carry to the right hand. So they faked it to the left and the QB kept it to the right. But he didn't quite have the speed that time, and a really good job that by the Phoenix defender there who made the tackle, stopping him short. First down for the Phoenix. So a really nice stand here. So this is what I'm talking about. Phoenix have to come out now, march the ball down the field. We need to see some points. If they can put some points on the board, anything can happen. You can have a game.
And the Phoenix certainly need to get the points up on the board. Down 27-0 with 7:20 left here in the third quarter of play.
But, you mentioned before that they don't have a lot of subs on the sideline, and so a lot of their players are going both ways. Fatigue is, I know it for our game. Boy, we had some tired players at the end of the game, and it really does factor into how they can run the plays.
Looking to pass outside, Jack Keefe on the pass. And the Malvern Black Knights are going to shut this one down. That was to number 32, Daniel Segovia. So Segovia and Verghese are the two key players for the Phoenix coming out of the backfield. But Keefe has got to have a lot more success and utilize a lot more weapons.
True, but Daniel is a really nice little weapon they have. They use him on wide pitches and they use him on the option, and that was a nice little, just a little tailback screen that time, and he picked up 5 yards. Hey, 5 yards on first down is a good play. They just got to be able to string these type of plays together.
2nd down and 5 for the Lakeshore Phoenix, again in I formation. Here's Jack Keefe. High snap this time. And
there's the option.
He's going to take it himself. No, he's going to look to pass. And that ball was dropped. Quick note for you, Dan, that notable personalities from Lakeshore in the past. Adam Copeland, the former wrestler known as The Edge. Trish Stratus, former WWE superstar, now judge with Canada's Got Talent. And Manny Fernandez, a former NHL goalie with Quebec City, Boston Bruins, Dallas Mavericks, and Dallas Stars and the Minnesota Wild. Those are some of the personalities that have come from the Lakeshore program.
So this is an important 3rd down. They're going for it. They're on their own 42-yard line, but I think they realize the seriousness of the situation where they've got to make. Oh, we have a high snap.
Bad snap at that, and Jack Keefe was looking to jump on it, but the Malvern Black Knights are fumbling over it too, and it continues to be a hot ball, a hot possession.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. They went for it on 3rd and 5, and they, basically on their own 40-yard line. And I agree with the call; they had to go for it. But that was just the most inopportune time for a high snap there. It just destroyed the play right from the start.
Dan, I just watched the sun go down, and it's blocked now by the building. Then I looked at our camera guys, and they're all thanking their lucky stars that it's not in their on their heads or in their faces or irises as well. So it's now we've got a clear view.
Well, you even did a little bit of foreshadowing there, Dana, as the sun, maybe the sun is going down on Lakeshore there after that bobbled bad snap.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
They really needed that play because now Malvern has the ball on their own on the Lakeshore 20-yard line, and if they put another score in,
Colreno with the hitch. The pass is out in the flat. Here's the Malvern Black Knights. Crispin Noakes on the play, and he'll bring it out down to the 18-yard line. Not enough for a first down.
A nice little swing pass that time. Again, a little bit of the bubble pass as we call it, and they picked up a nice little gain of 5 yards. In Canadian football, it's really important that you get that at least 5-yard gain and first down, because it then opens up the playbook to the other team. If you're always second and long, teams can just sit back and take the pass or take the wide stuff away from you, and it becomes really difficult to get first downs. They tried that time a slightly different screen. We call this a jailbreak screen.
Reno's pass
So what
intended for
happens
number
is the
88,
wide receiver,
Andrew Miranda falls incomplete.
takes a step or two up the field and then comes back towards the quarterback. But the thing that differentiates the screen is that you have linemen and running backs coming from inside the formation out to block the player, and that's why it's called a jailbreak. It's like, everybody's rushing out and he runs behind him as a screen, and it would have worked except the pass bounced into the player.
Seeing all kinds of formations here, but pretty much this game has been predicated on the run.
Right, it's the edge run, the wide run that's really made the difference in the game so far.
And a Wildcat on the play. This is DeJuan Burke,
Oh,
and he evades one defender. He's looking to go to the end zone. DeJuan Burke, and he takes it to the house. Touchdown, Malvern Black Knights.
Well, they're going to get called for clipping. He got the one defender there who had the last chance to tackle him was pushed in the back. So this is a well-deserved call here, but really a nice run. I mean, they had him 3 or 4 times it seems, and he kept on getting away. But the last play there was a push in the back, so this is going to take him back 15 yards.
Hey, Dan, what's with the blue flag?
Yeah, good question. It's harder to see, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, I'm a traditionalist. Where is that red flag?
We need that red
It
flag or
remains
orange
Thursday.
flag back or fluorescent flag.
Exactly.
Let's bring it back. No doubt we'll address that in the postmortem.
Well, I think you need to start an online petition or something to that effect, right?
I think I'm through with protests for about a good 5 years. And the Malvern Black Knights are going to set up for a field goal attempt.
Interesting.
Cerritos on the hold, and there's the kick, and it's just short. And responding to the play is Anthony Dubé, and he had the ball, but it fumbled away. But the whistle was already blowing on the play, so I think Lakeshore is going to maintain possession of the ball.
Yeah, but you know what? There should have been no yards called on that. I don't think the player touched the ball, yet the Malvern player came diving in it. It's like a punt. There's nobody. You're still in front of the ball. So that was a weird play here. It'll be interesting to see what they call.
Wow.
Well, no, I think they're going to just call them down inside the end zone for a single point, right? That's what they're going to give them, right? See there, they give them 28. But I thought it could have even called no yards, quite
Lakeshore
frankly. So they're
Phoenix.
going to get the ball at the 35-yard line, and Malvern's going to get the
Unable to
single
get the
point
ball out of
because
the
they
end zone.
recovered the ball in the
Malvern
end zone
takes home
after
one
it
more
was
point.
bouncing around a little bit.
Score of the ball game, Lakeshore
that should have
Phoenix
been a
nil.
new yards
Score of the
call.
Malvern Black Knights, 28.
So the officials are talking about this. They bring the ball back to the 35.
Well, I think the 1 point was is a fair outcome here, anyways, regardless. So it's going to be first down so Lakeshore was able to weather that storm a little bit, but as I said, we're getting down to just under 3 minutes left in the third quarter. They need to score some points, and they may need to take some shots down the field.
Looking at Theo Loughton coming out there on the field for the Malvern Black Knights. And Adam Booth, big boy as well, the O-lineman for the Lakeshore Phoenix. Among the many personalities that we see in these lineups here today, these kids have been going 24/7.
Right.
And they were so pumped coming up to Championship Day, Dan. As you know, we've seen this many times in the past. Butterflies enter into all of them before they take the field before a large audience.
Yeah, well, I think Phoenix defense he's done a pretty good job. I mean, they've been giving up the sweeps, and the couple of vertical passes that they gave up were sort of surprises that are really difficult to stop. But
Jack Keefe.
Jack
Correction.
Keith's pass falls incomplete.
And just looking at Jack Keefe, and he just wasn't able to make that happen. The Malvern Black Knights defense has been pretty solid,
Well,
too.
and that's what I was going to say before I was almost about to say is that the real credit is the Malvern defense here, who keeps on giving the ball back to their offense. They're getting the ball in great field position, and they've really put a lid on any of the offense that Phoenix have been able to generate.
It's been a tough go here for Jack Keefe, but he's been jumping up and down over those snaps. They've been kind of high. He hands off.
And see, the Phoenix, Malvern has recognized too right now they're dropping back almost into a cover four, we call it, and they're basically saying we're not going to let you pass the ball long. And I just don't think the Phoenix can put together enough 4 and 5 yard plays to keep on marching the ball all down the field and score enough points.
Daniel Segovia on that last carry for the Phoenix.
Daniel's been one of the bright spots certainly for the Phoenix right now, but they need to have somebody step up and come up with a big play for them.
They hand off again. There's Varghese with the ball. He takes a couple of hits, and he still continues to keep the feet moving.
Well, there's Daniel Segovia again. He just keeps, people just bounce off him. I mean, you give this kid a lot of credit, They're down 28-0, and he's still in there pounding every play, trying to make the best out of every situation.
Daniel Segovia, certainly tough, and they hand off again, and Segovia goes right up a huge hole opened by the Lakeshore Phoenix. You could drive a tractor trailer through that hole, and that's enough for a first down. What a performance by Segovia.
Now, let's face it begs the question, why weren't they running Daniel like this in the first quarter there? Like, why weren't they running this? That time they ran just a little counter, and he sort of went to the one side and cut back to the other, and they're picking up big yardage right now. Now, it may be a factor of the teams are getting tired right now, but boy, they're running with a purpose now. Can they put in a score here and make it interesting?
Another high snap. It's been an adventure, and here's Keefe with a long bomb, and he was looking long distance.
Well, that was an ill-advised pass right there. All the timing of the play was messed up with the high snap, and then by the time he was ready to throw, the receiver was far too far down the field.
Sam Corbin, he was down around the 20-yard line on that play. But I'll tell you, Dan, those snaps have been an absolute adventure.
They have been, and I'll tell you right now, when you're as a coach and as a quarterback here, instead of trying to concentrate on the plays you want to when the snap isn't coming out properly, you're just worried about just catching the ball rather than executing the play. And that really threw that whole play off because the wide receiver was open. It was just far too far down the field, and the quarterback throwing off his back foot had no chance. In fact, he was lucky it wasn't picked off.
Wow. Well, here's the Lakeshore Phoenix as we start the opening moments of the fourth quarter. These are the moments of truth for the Phoenix.
Again, we had a little high snap. They tried their little version of the fly sweep. It only picked up a couple of yards, though.
Ewan McGeezy was able to take the play, slap back and wide receiver. Another senior in the lineup for the Lakeshore Phoenix. So maybe they're trying to utilize other assets in their offense.
Well, you know what? Their most successful play right now is running the ball with Daniel Segovia. I would keep on doing that until they stop it and then use that as a play action, fake that play and then put the ball up in the air and try to throw the long pass off of that.
Another high snap. It's been unbelievable. And the Phoenix are going to continue to run with the ball. This is Jason Varghese, and he gets it down to the 40-yard line. And I compare that again to Fred Flintstone with the Bedrock Boulders. He's got the ball, and he's going to carry 5 defenders with him.
Well, you know what? I realize now you're getting down to the point of the game where, you have to do whatever you have to do to win the game. I would line up Daniel Segovia and Varghese, okay, and just put them in the backfield. They're pounding the other team right now. Just pound it all the way down the field, get a score, anything.
Turnover on downs.
Wow. No doubt they're huge weapons in the backfield, but there's got to be a feature done on just those snaps.
Well,
they've been so high, they've been low.
They have not been wonderful, but I prefer to concentrate on, like somebody like Jason Varghese. He's 205 pounds, 6 feet tall, but he plays like he's about 240. He just steamrolls people.
Oh, yeah. Colorado faked on the pass, and he going with the ball on the run, and Ethan McMillan will bring it out, and he reverses. He's going to go wide on the play. McMillan looking for some distance, and he gets pushed. from behind and goes down at the 40-yard line. Good run by Ethan McMillan.
Well, I think we have to provide some context here. While they did a nice gain on third down, the Phoenix were not able to get a first down, so it was first down for Malvern. And we've just seen Ethan McMillan just basically run all the way to the far side of the field, all the way to the close side of the field, and then sort of stumble and trip after he picked up about 20 yards. I mean, that's like a week's entertainment right there on that one play.
And the ball placed on the 39-yard line. Here's the Malvern Black Knights. Offense operating in sync, and they hand off. This is DeJuan Burke with the ball, and he gets it down close to the 30-yard line. Tackled at the 33 to be exact.
You know, it's interesting looking at the contrast between the two different type of running styles. Whereas Daniel Segovia and a couple of times we've seen Jason Varghese, they just run over people. Ethan McMillan just makes everybody miss. I mean, he's twisting, he's turning, he's running around the edge, he's spinning, you know. I mean, he's just a hard guy to bring down that time. You can see, though, the Lakeshore team is just noticeably starting to get tired right now. They got to chase Ethan all over the field, for heaven's sakes.
8:33 and counting here in the fourth. Black Knights looking to throw the ball. They threw it away. Cole Reno on the pass. That was a third down situation. So it looks like they're experimenting a little bit with the pass.
Well, I mean, clearly he didn't have anybody there. So, I mean, you know what? As a coach, I would probably say, good job, Cole. We don't want him forcing it in there and causing an interception. So that was, he's at least got third down right now. So why take a chance that that ball would be intercepted? You know, they've done a pretty good job of converting on third downs.
Whoa, look out. And the Lakeshore Phoenix read that one quite well. And coming up on the play was Jason Varghese, and he shot the gap and able to take down the running back for the Malvern Black Knights.
Well, they tried to run that fly sweep, and what a play by Jason Varghese. In fact, he almost caught the ball himself and started running. He was in through that gap so quickly.
Wow, talk about acceleration.
But that was a nice third down stop that time by Lakeshore. And the defense. But like I said, you could just see, though, a lot of players have got their hands on their knees right now. They're just tired. I mean, you know, when you're having to go both ways, and especially when you're chasing people, like I said, you know, the Ethan McMillans that we've talked about over and over again here, it really does wear down on you as the game goes along.
Well, here's the Lakeshore Phoenix as they can take control of the ball with 7:30 left in the ball game. Handoff. Phoenix looking to go one way. No, they're going to reverse and go the other way. This is number 89, Sam Corbin, and Corbin's had some good runs in this game. He brings it out to almost midfield, but we've got a flag on the play.
Now, I don't know, is that a flag, or is that one of those dryer lint sheets? I'm not sure.
I have no idea. I thought it was something out of a restaurant, but that's the way it looks from here with the officials.
Fabric softener, I guess.
Fabric softener.
My wife would get mad at me, you know. Like
I have no idea what that is. But certainly they're going to move the sticks. The clock continues to wind down.
Well, clearly it looked like it was some sort of a rough play or piling on, and they got an extra 15 yards.
Dan, we've seen some great football here today, starting with that junior game in the morning. That was an exciting football game as the Northern Red Knights able to pull it out over Leaside Lancers, and the game decided with 12 seconds left on the clock. And then your game, the Tier 1 championship, and you guys coming back with that big run to win it over the Richview Saints.
Well, clearly I'm biased. I'm from Northern, but boy, that was two exciting games for us. I mean, as a coach, you're happy to win, but, my heart could take, maybe a little easier victory than that, but, we'll take what we can. Those are two fantastic opponents today, and they've been, Richview has always given, have always given us battles for many, many years, so I can do nothing but congratulate them for their stellar performance today. And, and we were, we hung in there and battled to the end. We were down 14-0, just like Lakeshore was here, at halftime, but we were able to pull it out.
Great, exciting football, great rivalry. Can't ask for any more. Plus a full house. We've had a lot of people here at Varsity Stadium today.
There's Daniel again, and I would be remiss if I didn't congratulate our juniors too, Brian Gaw and John Lombardi. You know, they won most of their games handily, so it's tough when you haven't lost the game all year and you've won by big scores, because Leaside was more than a worthy opponent. Like I said, that game could have gone either way, and same thing with our game with Richfield.
Outstanding football. Here's a Lakeshore Phoenix. Again, they're running with that twin back, Bargassi and Segovia. And here's Jack Keefe as he's looking to go to the air. And that one's caught. And down on his knees, the pass was caught by Anthony Dubé, the wide receiver. And the Lakeshore Phoenix are looking to threaten here in latter stages of this fourth quarter.
You know, I just wish they had have taken a few more shots earlier like that. Like that pass got hung up in the wind a little bit, but the receiver was able to come back for it and made a nice play. Like, I just think they needed to throw some balls down the field earlier than that, because we have under 6 minutes left, and it's going to take a lot of big plays like that for them to get back in the game.
Here's Cole Reno, Jack Keefe. Keefe is going to take it himself. He's going to run. And does he make it? Does he get into the end zone?
No, he got stopped at the 1 foot line. So still a hell of a run that time by the quarterback.
Wow, that's a great run by Jack Keefe. Is it enough? No, Dan, you're right. They're going to hold this one right at the goal line, but this is a great opportunity for the Lakeshore Phoenix.
Now, this is going to be interesting. See, this is the problem they had last time. Are they going to come up under shotgun again? Because remember, it wasn't very effective, right? They're on the 1 yard line this time, because in Canadian football, like, he was literally on the 1 or 2 inch line, but Canadian football, the ball always goes back to the 1 yard line, right?
Yep.
So will be interesting to see whether the quarterback is lining up in shotgun, and yes, he is. But I would just give it to I would give it to Jason or Daniel and let one of them punch it in.
Adam Booth, the center for the Lakeshore Phoenix. There's the snap. They're going to run this one right up the gut. And that's a touchdown. Jason Vergessi, as he scores the touchdown for the Lakeshore Phoenix, they're on the board.
Well, good for the Phoenix, right? I mean, when you're down 28-0, it's easy just to pack it in, right, and say, okay, we had a good season or whatever. But hey, they're battling right to the end. They scored a touchdown here. And I think this is really wonderful for the program, and congratulations to them. Now, there's still 5 minutes left. They can maybe get an onside kick, get a fumble or something, and put a little more pressure on Malvern here.
Another high snap. They're going for a 2-point conversion, and they go to Segovia, and that's a 2-point conversion. The officials got the arms up in the air.
Well, Daniel lined up. Well, Daniel was in the backfield. He just ran out of the backfield, curled over the goal line, and Jack there made a nice play and passed the ball to him for the 2-point convert. So they're still in there trying. I love it. They're still in there kicking. They're going to play this right out to the end.
28-8 is the score, the exact score, with 4:58 left here in the fourth quarter. And the Lakeshore Phoenix are playing with a lot of vibe and a lot of verve right now. They got it marked down as 28-7, but that was a 2-point conversion.
Yes, clearly it was. I'm sure they'll get it correct. Well, and I think they're going to try their short kick right now. I mean, there's what have they got to lose, right?
I'd like to highlight that touchdown brought to you by the Toronto Argonauts, Marchand School Sports, everything you need to be in the game.
And given
the Canadian Armed Forces, the Canadian Armed Forces, the Royal Canadian Legion, Branch 10, as well as Football Toronto. We like to thank all our corporate partners while we have the chance here in the fourth. Go ahead, Dan.
No, I thought they were lining up for the short kick. And all of the Malvern players sort of creeped up, but then they tried to fool them by kicking it over their head. But they unfortunately kicked it to Ethan McMillan that made a really nice catch over his head and returned it back to around the 42-yard line.
We can't forget this broadcast on CIUT Radio 89.5 FM and brought to you by YouTube as we stream all around the world. This has been an outstanding day of high school football here in Toronto, and certainly want to take the opportunity at this time to thank our production crew, Jeremy Milani and Warren Liebman and Adam and everybody on the team, as well as broadcast team, including yourself, Dan, and Nick Green, a wide receiver, a slot back for the University of Toronto Varsity Blues. Want to thank everybody involved. And the Malvern Black Knights are looking for the pass, and they make it connect. That's number 88, Andre Miranda, the wide receiver, and he brings it down to the 40-yard line.
What a nice play that time. They ran a little bootleg play, and that time Cole was able to get right out of the pocket, and he had seemed like forever, and he made a really nice pass, and they picked up almost 40 yards on the receiver that did sort of a crossing route all the way to the far side of the field. But a really nice play, really well designed.
Dan, I'd like to thank the principals at this time as well, Alan Easton from Lakeshore and Sandy Caskins from Malvern. Thank you very much for allowing this day to happen. And the pass as they go up in the air again. Cole Reno showcasing the arm.
Well, you know, that time he had, a person running. He had, hard to see the number in the fading sunlight. Oh, that's Crispin Noakes, who ran from a slot back position, ran a corner pattern, and he was open briefly. If he had just got a little more air on the ball, it probably would have been a touchdown, but it was still well done to be knocked down by the defender from the Phoenix.
So Malvern's got the ball on the 41-yard line, or pardon me, the 39-yard line of the Lakeshore Phoenix.
Right, and that was Nathan Stiglick from the Phoenix that was able to get his hand on the ball to knock it down. Really good job.
Geez, for a minute there in the backfield, I thought I saw Brock Bundy and Stu Bundy. Here's Cole Reno in shotgun. Looking to roll out in play action. There's the pass. It's caught. Pick number 15 in the lineup, Crispin Noakes, comes down with another reception. And he certainly has to be considered as an MVP of this game.
Well, I think I think it's going to come down to Cole Reno, the quarterback, certainly Mr. Wing and Adrian Wing, but Ethan McMillan right now would probably be my pick for the MVP. But
you can see that one coming as the MVP awards include the game balls and tickets to see the Toronto Argonauts play the Montreal Alouettes in the Eastern Conference Final coming up this Sunday at BMO Field in Toronto.
But Adrian has those 2 touchdowns, so I think it's going to be really difficult for our selectors to determine here.
Oh, no question. And I'm looking at that whole table of committee members who have to consult with the coaches of both teams to determine who those MVP awards are going to.
Absolutely, and let's face it, make the argument for Cole. Without Cole slinging the ball the way he has, they wouldn't have had those chances in the first place.
Talk about Ethan McMillan. He just came up with the pass and the catch right there at the 30-yard line.
All I'm happy is I don't have to make that decision because I'm not sure if I can make it right now.
Dan, we were hoping you would be involved with the decision.
Well, I tried to sidestep that as artfully as I could, but
2:18 and counting here in this Tier 2 championship. 28-8 for the Malvern Black Knights and the Lakeshore Phoenix. Dan.
Well, I'm a coach, right? So if I had my way, I would just divide it up to all those players, right? It's a team effort, right?
This ain't cookies.
That's true.
We're not talking cookies here. Here comes the pitch, and here comes Harry Alessi, as we haven't seen him lately, but he's quite prominent in that Malvern offense, and he brings it down to close to the 10-yard line. That's a first down for the Black Knights.
Well, again, they got to the edge again. They got to the outside one more time, and this has really been the story of the game. They haven't been able to stop the wide run, whether it was just a pitch, whether it was a sweep, whether it was the fly or jet sweep, and they've been able to run it at will. And that set up all their passing that they did. When you have to worry so much about the run, it makes it easier to throw those balls downfield like they have here, especially on this drive so far.
Cole Reno up under center. And looks the pitch outside. Again, he's going to Harry Alessi on the play. They go left, off tackle for about 3 or 4 yards on the carry.
Right, same play again. They just ran the pitch outside. I mean, if it's working, keep running it, for heaven's sakes.
Second down situation for the Black Knights with 1:20 left in this Tier 2 championship.
Well, they're on the 7-yard line, either 8-yard line, excuse me, and they're just trying to put a little icing on the cake. They've had a really nice drive so far. They've mixed in the pass and the run. It'll be interesting to see if they just toss the ball wide again like they have and try to take the touchdown in.
Here's Reno as they're going to go right this time, and again, another pitch. Harry Alessi on the play, and he's tackled. Good tackle on the play by the Lakeshore Phoenix. Number 35 on the play. That's Justice Weho.
Well, the Lakeshore Phoenix did a really good job of string, and this is what they haven't been able to do most of this game. They were able to string that play all the way to the sidelines where Alessi literally had nowhere to go, and he got tackled for a 1-yard loss. If they had been able to string the other plays like, that the Malvern team ran almost at will, this could have been a much closer game.
3rd and 6 for the Black Knights, and they're setting up for a field goal attempt. Dan, I'm still trying to comprehend the fact that Sean McCready is a left-handed kicker.
Yeah, well,
with the left foot. Here's the kick. And it goes through the uprights. That's a clean field goal with 32 seconds left on the game clock.
he smacked that one that time, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, he sure did.
That was really nicely done. But he had a good hold, and he didn't have a lot of pressure, so he was able to put it through for a nice 3-point field goal.
31-8 is the score with the final seconds coming up here in this Tier 2 championship. I'd like to thank you, Dan, for sitting in on the broadcast. It's been quite a while, and certainly it's always a pleasure having you in as color commentator.
Well, it has been a while, but it was a lot of fun today, and of course, I really enjoy high school football, no matter what level it's at, and I love seeing the enthusiasm of the players. And you're going to see Malvern explode in joy once this game is over, because a win is a win, no matter where you're playing and how you're playing, and just the opportunity to play these games is what players will remember the rest of their life.
I already purchased my tickets to Eastern Conference Final on Sunday to watch the Montreal Alouettes and the Toronto Argonauts at BMO Field. And certainly for all those fans who haven't purchased tickets yet, I would strongly suggest you do, because they're going like hotcakes right now.
And the Argos have been such a fun team to watch this year, and I was really happy 2 weeks ago to see one of my former players, Daniel Attaboy, get a chance to run the ball a little bit in that game as well.
Great to see Daniel in the lineup for the Toronto Argonauts, and got lots of playing time in the backfield as a running back. He was quite dominant when he played with the Northern Red Knights during his high school playing days. Another snap. Here's Jack Keefe. Play action. He's got lots of time, and he's just going to loft that one up. And that was a prayer that he put up. He was looking for Yeshua Hernandez. Didn't come to fruition.
Well, he was searching for a receiver that was open, but there wasn't really anybody there, so he put up a bit of a prayer that time that fell incomplete. But hey, you got to give him credit for trying. There's no point in just running it out of bounds at this stage of the game.
Dan, some final people to thank as well. Brian Gall, the football convener here for the TDSB and TDSSAA, as well as the athletic directors for the Toronto District School Board in George Curtis and Jennifer Bruner. We're really happy to see them on site here today. It was a great day of high school football.
Well, today is the culmination of a long season for all these players and coaches, and we're just happy we get the opportunity to play in a lovely venue like the Varsity Stadium. And like I said, all the players, I'm sure, will have an experience they'll never forget today.
And we certainly have to thank the University of Toronto and the Varsity Blues football program, because they've done an outstanding job to host this event and to have all the high school teams come down here to play. And certainly a credit to Coach Greg Marshall, who a little bit under the weather, but I'm sure he's watching and listening. And also to Chris Dickens, the facility manager, and all the technical crew here today at the University of Toronto. They do a first-class job right here at Varsity Stadium.
I know, even, we're talking many, many years ago when I was a player, but we always enjoyed, it was always a thrill coming to Varsity Stadium to play. And, and I played my university career here as well. And so, of course, I have an overwhelming fondness for this place here.
Well, Anthony Dubé just ran out the ball for the Lakeshore Phoenix, and that'll end the final score 31-8 in favor of the Malvern Black Knights as they defeat the Lakeshore Phoenix to capture the Tier 2 championship here in Toronto. We're going to just carry on the broadcast a little longer here, Dan, as we've got the presentations coming out onto the field, and we'll find out who those MVP awards go to. But your thoughts on this game?
Well, Malvern just had too many weapons, and they controlled the line of scrimmage very well. When Cole Reyna went back to pass, he had time to throw the ball. When they decided to go the sweeps and the pitches and the jet sweeps, they worked, and they were able to sustain drives, and they were able to keep the Phoenix defense on the field for a long periods of time. So this is a very tired but game Phoenix team. Like I was really happy to see they showed the fighting spirit to come back and score that touchdown in the second half. But in this game, they were certainly outmatched by a really superb Malvern team, well coached and very disciplined on both sides of the ball.
Wow. Well, certainly a credit to both squads and to the coaching staff, Dave Budzinski, the head coach from the Lakeshore Phoenix, and to Rob Salvador, and to Carlo Livingstone, the head coach of the Malvern Black Knights. Credit to both head coaches and to the support staff as well for doing an outstanding job with both teams to prepare for a high school football team for a season. And Dan, you know this as well as anybody, that it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of patience, it takes a lot of dedication, but the rewards are outstanding.
Well, absolutely. I mean, and you're right. Just the amount of time the coaches have to put in, but the players have to put in, and meetings and the practices that you spend. I mean, we're practicing out there every day, and we've had really nice weather this year. This has been a really wonderful fall, but it can be raining and it can be cold, and you're out there every day because just the nature of football. Football is not, let's say, like basketball, where if you have one star player, that star player can carry you. You really it needs to be a team effort. You need to have more than one player, and we saw that today with the Malvern team. They just had more weapons. They were better coordinated, and a very well coached team. They did what they had to do, and they were very deserving of their win today. But it's a real testament to sort of the effort the entire team put in, and like you said, it's a long season, and it culminated in a championship victory today for them.
I'd also like to draw attention to the Malvern Black Knights marching band, who are able to get through all that traffic and get here to Varsity Stadium here today under the direction and leadership of Michael Falla. They do an outstanding job year after year putting together the Malvern Marching Band, and they'll be in the Santa Claus Parade, as we normally see every year, the largest Christmas parade in the world, and we'll see them front and center in that parade coming up on November 20th.
Absolutely. They were almost as enthusiastic as the players were on the sideline, for heaven's sakes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure.
First, the
and here's the
MVP
presentations.
from the Lakeshore Phoenix, number 59, Jason Vargase.
So Jason Vargase captures the MVP award for the Lakeshore Phoenix, and rightfully so, Dan.
Absolutely. He played offense, he played defense. He was in on almost every tackle they had, carried the ball. He was a force out there. He would be a force on any high school team he played right now. I'm sure the university coaches are looking at him and seeing him as being maybe a prospect at the next level.
Great to see all the fans out here on the turf as well, though the parents especially coming to see their kids playing in this high-profile game. Adrian Wing with the 2 touchdowns, Dan, and he gets the MVP award.
Well, you can't argue with that. Like I said, Malvern had several players step up and play great games, but he's the one that did score the 2 touchdowns that sort of put the game out of reach and really culminated in this victory for the Malvern Black Knights.
We now ask the captains.
And there's Joe Capiello, the defensive coach for the University of Toronto Varsity Blues, presenting the award alongside Lieutenant Colonel Trevor Norton and also the Canadian Armed Forces. And we're going to wrap things right up there as the captains come over to take the presentation award. Again, we're going to highlight our corporate sponsors, including CIUT Radio 89.5 FM, the Canadian Armed Forces, the Toronto Argonauts, Marchand School Sports, everything you need to be in the game, Football Toronto, and the Toronto District School Board. Again, Final score, the Malvern Black Knights take out the Lakeshore Phoenix to capture this Tier 2 championship. For Dan Domenico, I'm Dana McKeel saying so long. You've been listening and watching on CIUT Radio 89.5 FM and streamed on YouTube around the world. Thanks very much for tuning in, everybody.